Life is a journey of people, places, and perspectives. Welcome to Eyes on Eve, a special series spotlighting women leaders around the islands of the Bahamas and their work in the community as they continue to agitate for social and economic empowerment. This series is brought to you by the National Women's Advisory Council of the Bahamas, the Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development, and the Department of Gender and Family Affairs. The Bahamas is an archipelago of islands connected by our faith in God and our culture. Each island still has a uniqueness that makes traveling around the Bahamas an adventure. Today, our journey takes us to Abaco. Let's meet co-pastor Jackie Robbins. Welcome, co-pastor Jackie.
Good afternoon, and I'm delighted.
Good afternoon, and welcome. We finally got you in front of the cameras.
Thank you so much, Lady Raquel.
Well, thank you. Well, Jackie, I tried to introduce you, but I know I can't do justice. You know yourself better than I ever would. Tell us, who is Jackie? Who is Jaqueline Robbins? Tell us a little bit about you, your life in Abaco, and some of the work that you're doing in Abaco.
My name is Jaqueline Robbins. Everybody calls me Jackie. Mother, sister, Nana, mommy. But I'm the fifth child of 10. My parents had 10 children. All are alive. We lost our mom in 2016 to Alzheimer's. I'm married to one of Bimini's finest, Pastor Sean Robbins, who is the eldest of 6 children. And we have 5 kids, but we adopted 2 girls, so we have 7 children and actually 9 grandchildren. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a salon. I'm the owner of a salon. The salon that I own, my mom named it actually. It's Jaqueline's Beauty Salon and Grooming Spa. And one of the things I asked her when she gave me the name was, what's the meaning of Shekinah? Because I didn't know at the time. So she said, the glory of God. And I've never changed that name. And I'm a grandmother, as I said before, and I'm also a co-pastor to my husband at Grace Baptist Church. So that's I guess, some of my characteristics.
Well, you have to tell them that you also, you love to laugh and you love to serve.
I do.
I know that much about you. And so,
Yes.
Jackie, in my introduction, we talked about Hurricane Dorian. How are you now post Hurricane Dorian?
Wow, post Hurricane Dorian. Can we rewind a bit? So we had moved to Nassau post Hurricane Dorian about 8 days after. My husband and I, being pastors, we didn't want to leave the island at once, even though we were getting calls, oh, you have to get off the island, you have to leave. Our son and daughter who lives in Nassau seemed to have been in a panic mode. Oh, mommy, daddy, when are you guys leaving? You can't stay there in the condition that it is. But being pastors and always helping people, we wanted to make sure first that our families were doing well, because some of them early on we didn't hear from, and we wanted to make sure our church family was doing well. And so we stayed here up until 8 days after Hurricane Dorian. Went into Nassau via a mailboat, the Legacy, one of our Abaco's mailboats, because we couldn't get on a flight. It was important to us to get our dad out, his wife, our sister who's blind, some of the kids, and so we went off to Nassau,
Mhm.
and we didn't want to stay in Nassau, so we came back home. Coming back home, reality really set in because when we looked around, when it first happened, you didn't get to see the devastation, so much of it before we left. But coming back, it was heartbreaking to see what had really transpired here in Abaco.
Wow. It
Yeah.
seems it's still a little bit emotional for
It, it,
you.
it is. It is. It gets emotional from time to time. But you know what? God is a sustainer. And
Mhm.
so he had placed us around some beautiful people at BFM who ministered to us, Pastor Dave and Pastor Angie Burrows and their church family. They were such an awesome support,
Mhm.
spiritual support. And of course, our families were
Mhm.
excellent support.
Mhm.
And so, thinking about it and what transpired after Hurricane Dorian, even when we were going through Hurricane Dorian, it sometimes caused you to become a bit emotional. But you
Mhm.
know what? We're getting there and
Mhm.
things have been coming into place. And so we visited BFM probably maybe the second Sunday after Hurricane Dorian.
Mhm.
And when we got to church, the embrace that we got from the congregation and from Pastor Dave and Pastor Angie
Mhm.
was second to none
Mhm.
because it was as if we were serving people after the hurricane. But now here it is. There was a pastor family that were our friends serving us and their congregation. I
Mhm.
broke. I broke in church. But as time went on, the tears sort of dry up every now and again. They tend to flow,
Mhm.
but I thank God for them as spiritual mentors and also our pastor friend and his wife out of Bimini Gateway,
Mhm.
Apostle Gilbert Rule, and I call him Mother Yvette. They've
Mhm.
really been spiritual support for us after Dorian. And so you asked me some of the things that we're doing here in Abaco. When we came back, because of what I saw being done, even at BFM, Pastor Dave had dispatched a team to Freeport, um,
Mhm.
Grand Bahama, to pray with people, to bring essential items, to bring food, to bring clothing, and they wanted to do the same thing here. And so coming back home and seeing the devastation of the island and seeing the need of the people, um, it was in our heart to do as well. And so when he asked us, would we be willing to do the same thing here in Abaco, we couldn't help but say yes, because all of my life, you know, and my
Mhm.
sibling, we grew up in a home where our parents always catered to people, no
Right.
matter what walk of life they
Mhm.
came from. They never degraded or looked down on anybody. They always, I remember my mom would pull us pull us out. Can I just flow? My mom would
Just
just
flow.
pull us out of our bed and put us on the floor for people we didn't even know. As
Wow.
kids, as kids, we couldn't understand it, and believe it or not, there were seeds that was being sown. I remember BFM came to Abaco some years ago, and they wanted to do some evangelistic work, and they couldn't find a church. Like, sometimes you're judged. People probably, some persons, because of their feelings, I guess, didn't
Mhm.
allow them in their sanctuaries. And so my dad, who was the pastor at the time, Bishop Enfield, he opened up Grace Baptist Church to the evangelistic team. And from that day to this, we've had a connection with BFM. Pastor
Wow.
Miles, when we couldn't find musicians, would send musicians over here at their cost. They footed the bill. And so I just want to take this opportunity too, since they helped us so much with Hurricane Dorian, to say thank you
Mhm.
to BFM, the BFM church family, now being pastored by Pastor Dave and Angie Burrows, who are our friends and sister
Wow.
and brother.
You
Yeah.
talked about planting seeds, that your father would have planted a seed many years ago in opening up the door, and basically you're reaping a harvest. But Jackie,
Mhm.
you yourself are planting seeds rather in Abaco through the work that you are doing in the community. Post Dorian, you returned to Abaco,
Mhm.
and your husband and yourself opened up your church doors. And so
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the work that you are doing in the community of Abaco.
Okay, so when we came back home, um, we feel that there was a need here in Abaco, even though we had NAMO on the ground, we had some NGOs that were on the ground. World Kitchen was on the ground, Water Mission was on the ground, and the government agencies were on the ground as well. We thought that it was something that we could do post for our communities. And so even though our church was compromised because we got roof damage, we had a preschool in the back that we lost from Dorian, we opened the church. We my husband and some persons that came to the island from another church, some from Puerto Rico, they tore up the roof, and we was able to open the church as a distribution center. And
Mm,
so from time to time we're still distributing from the church. We're getting ready to do some renovation, and one of the things that cause or provoke or push you to continue doing it is to see the smiles on people's faces. You know, when people come in, to see that even if it's 3 bottles of water. I remember when BFM they sent back to BFM, they sent a pastoral team down. They had put pallets of grocery items on the boat, clothing, toiletries, essential items, and water, which is really needed here in Abaco. They had put pallets of stuff on the boat. Not only did they put pallets of stuff on the boat, they sent down 3 pastors along with the stuff that they put. And so that was the first day we distributed. And I want to tell you, people came from as far as Sandy Point in the
wow.
south.
Oh, yes.
Yes, in the south, and also Crown Haven. And what they did along with us was they didn't try to take over, they just came alongside. It I think it was orchestrated by God,
Mhm,
because persons were offered prayer while getting essential items.
mhm,
They was offered encouragement from the team,
mhm,
along with Pastor Sean and myself, and there was offered hope, because some people felt hopeless after Hurricane Dorian. But you
mhm,
know what? God always have a light somewhere in a tunnel. And so
mhm,
that is when we started. And so we're still an arm stretched in the community,
mhm,
doing whatever we can as a ministry, even as a family. We're still doing whatever we can. We still have clothes that we're distributing. And Sister Raquel, one of the things that we do if we don't have it at the church, I call it telephone networking. I would call around. I would call around or WhatsApp different groups or different NGOs that I know, or business people in the community that I know, to get that person's need met. And so,
mhm,
I mean, in a nutshell, those are some of the things that we're doing. Recently,
mhm,
I started because a lady by the name of Lydia Hill, she heard what we was doing at the church, and they wanted to set up a distribution center at the church, but at the time we couldn't accommodate them because we was stocked up with so much things ourselves. And so they took it to a mother church of ours, Friendship Tabernacle, and we distribute from there food into the community every Friday.
mhm.
Me along with a group of ladies out of the community, and our team leaders, Vanessa Fraser. And it's been going great. Over 300 plus people we service in our area. And so,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a big harvest with all those
Yeah.
seeds. And because quite honestly, I could only imagine the sacrifice, because it's having to forget your own personal needs and you're putting others
Hmm.
first.
Hmm.
Because it wasn't like in Abaco, there was basically nowhere in Abaco that was spared. And
Yeah.
so I know for you, your church and your family homestead would
Hmm.
have had a level of destruction. But instead, you are finding your place and you're bringing other women along as a leader,
Yeah.
to say we have to serve this community. This is our community, and we need to serve. And so, one of the things I want to say to you at this point, Jackie, on behalf of the National Women's Advisory Council of the Bahamas, and as well as the Department of Gender and Family Affairs, we celebrate you. We want you to know that we see you. We see your impact. We see that you are transforming your community through social and economic empowerment by providing the basic needs for women, children, and families to be able to move on. And I can only imagine. I visited Abaco prior to, on two occasions prior to hurricane, actually last year, and
Hmm.
on two occasions post hurricane. And it was for me who, I mean, I was impacted here in Grand Bahama, but for me,
Hmm.
not living in Abaco and, and coming in, all I did, I sat down, I said, I don't want to go anywhere.
It's being restored though. Abaco is coming together good. It's really coming together. The people here are resilient, just like the women here, very resilient. You know, they don't wait and sit around for handout. All they want is a hand up, and that's what a lot of the people here in Abaco, has been doing post Dorian.
Mhm. Well, that is
And it
true.
proves,
Empowerment is when you transition from, I call it the handout to the hand up, because now
yes,
with the hand up, what you find is that you're able to assist others. And
yes,
so it's almost, you're carrying on, you're carrying on, you're carrying on, whereby you pass on to one and you pass on to the next one
yeah,
and you pass on to the other. And so indeed your story is inspiring to all of us, because sometimes we find excuses as to why we cannot do, but you are in
yes,
that community and you are working diligently. You're serving over 300 persons at this time, plus I could only imagine. And to be able to do that, you could have the excuse, well, I have the right shoes and my clothes are on, and legitimately so persons will probably say, yeah, that's true, but you're looking
hmm,
past all of that and saying,
yes,
I have a work to do in this community. I have a community to build. I have people who are around me that I need to ensure that they're able to move on. And so that speaks volumes. You shared about your, I call it your characteristics, but that speaks volume because that's love. When you're
yes, yes,
sacrificially giving and putting others above yourself, um, that is love. It's just not only a passion, but it's your purpose. You've been placed in that community for such a time as this to be able to do
yes,
what you're doing. And so we also encourage you, because we know that the journey still goes on and the healing goes on, because like I said, you can only imagine the trauma of having to be there during the hurricane. And thanks be to God who sustains you. And like you talk about the
yes, yes,
resiliency
most
of the women
yes,
in particular, who are ready to pick up the pieces and let's build
yes.
Abaco. And so at this time, what would you say to the women of Abaco?
Women arise. They are. I would say this because I don't know if, who knows, I'll be given this platform again. Um, it's I have five sisters, and most of my sisters are entrepreneurs because we came from a strong background of women. My grandmother was a strong woman. She was an entrepreneur. Our mom was a strong woman. She was an entrepreneur. And so I want to say to the women over there, arise, find that thing that God has placed in you, because he has placed something in you. He has placed a gift in you. You have purpose. And so, yes, sometimes you're weary. And as Sister Raquel says, sometimes you may feel like you can't say anything or you can't do anything. But wherever you are, hearing our voices today, arise, take your rightful place, do that God has called you to do. Your gift, he says, will make room for you and bring you before great people. And so I believe that there are women out there, entrepreneurs like my niece, who's very young. She's an entrepreneur. I have a daughter that's an entrepreneur. She is a beautician as well. I have a daughter that sells anything. She is an entrepreneur. And yeah, because you have to survive. And when you get knocked off your feet, that doesn't mean that the race is finished. Get up again, continue to fight, continue to run. The race is not given
To the
to the
swiftest.
to the strong or the swift, but it's given to the person who endures to the end. And so I say, stand up strong, woman, because you are strong. You are strong, and you've been called, like many women, as pace setters and trailblazers, to blaze the earth. Maybe you may not have a platform, but you have your phone. You know how to do WhatsApp. So get on the phone, write a story, tell your story to somebody. Get up and do that thing that God has purposed you to do on this earth. Produce after yourself, and produce, most importantly, after God.
Wow. So now I know what it gets you to talk. But you were just too shy. But when it comes to speaking about God, you ain't shy there.
Not at
So
all.
I thought I was in church a moment ago. That all the way over here. And so that is been true because I am inspired and I am encouraged by what you shared, even though that may have been for the women of Abaco particularly, but for all who are watching, those words can let that resonate, let that begin to transform, let it be a seed. And as in Psalms 1, that is planted by the rivers of water that will bring forth
Bring
fruit in
forth
its
fruit
season,
this
and
season.
yet it will not wither. And John goes
Yes,
to say that your fruit will remain. And
will
so,
remain.
this is taking a different turn, I know,
I know.
but that's all right because God has predestined this to happen the way that it has. And we
Yeah,
make no excuses for giving God glory in the midst
yes,
of all that He is doing and will continue to do in the rebuilding. Yes, we have governments. Yes, we have NGOs. We have organizations, but He's touching the hearts of these people to be able to do these things. And so there's
exactly.
a divine assignment for each organization who is doing what it is doing. And so, what our responsibility and our response in return is to be thankful to God
Yeah,
in what He is allowing to happen. And because Abaco is rebuilding quicker, perhaps more than you can imagine. And the thing about it is, it will not be the same.
it will not be
It
the same.
will not be the same because it's coming back in a bigger, better, and a stronger way because resiliency is at the heart of its people and
Yes,
God is first and foremost. And once we
first
have
and
that,
foremost.
that's a recipe for success. So
Yes,
Abaco
ma'am.
cannot be anything but great. And so we are just excited for the work that you are doing in the community because you're not feeding and clothing only um, the temporal person, but you're
Hmm.
doing it spiritually as well. You're
Yeah,
equipping them and you're strengthening them and you're giving hope. You're giving life. And that's what Eve was all about. Eve is what we would say the definition is the mother of life of all living things. And
yes.
so as you bring life and you birth forth life and you begin to multiply, be fruitful and multiply. So we
And
expect great
multiply.
things. We expect nothing else but great things. And so
Greatness.
this has been a delightful conversation. As we had our pre-interview and, I shared with you, it was one of those days. And I'm like, okay, when is it all going to get together? But this here today has now, I mean, you sparked something in me. I know what's going on. And so I am excited. I am delighted, to hear directly from Abaco and see through your eyes what is happening in Abaco and what is being done in Abaco. And once again, we celebrate the work and your worth, your impact in the community because you are transforming lives, you're transforming and empowering communities. And even for us here at RBNTV, that's what we're all about. And so I think when we hear these stories, it inspires us to continue pushing on even when it becomes very difficult.
Hmm.
And so we thank you for sharing your story and sharing about the work that you're doing in Abaco. Is there anything else you would like to say? Like you say, you have this platform. You got 30 seconds more to go.
I would just like to say thank you to Idea Food, Idea Relief, and also the government because, as you know, the government has placed $1 million per week to feed its people, and so that is a blessing from God. And my
Mhm.
family, who are my support, my husband, my sister Genova, who's the elder sister, she's like our mom now. That our mom is passed. And I just want to say thank you, Raquel. I really didn't want to do this interview. I didn't think I had anything to say, No, but as it's always said, when you open your mouth, sometimes Holy Spirit do speak through you. And so I thank you today. And I just want to say to those women of the suffrage movement who paved the way for us, thank you to your children who are still alive. Thank you. Thank you for the sacrifice that you've made for us, for women of this country and throughout. God bless you. We love you. And Abaco.
Yes, Abaco loves you. And so we know when we talk about the advancement of women as we celebrate National Women's Week, no one is to be left behind. That's why this series, Eyes on Eve, was so important to both the National Women's Advisory Council and the Department of Gender and Family Affairs, because every organization, every island, every woman plays an important role for the advancement
Yes.
of this Bahama island that we call our own. We have to do it together. We have to put God
Yeah.
first in the midst of it, and we have to do it together. And it can be done, and it will be done. It will
And
be done.
encourage each
God,
other. Yes.
yes, God has
Yes.
placed women on every island. And once we come together, and for many of persons, they will meet Jackie for the first time through a YouTube channel and to know what it is and the work that she is doing, and so many others. We've been around the islands, and we got a couple more stops that we're going to be making, a few more islands that we're going to be chatting with and to understand what they are doing, because we are all in this together. We are
Yeah.
one purpose, one voice, our future. And so that's what's critical about this. And that's our theme, and such a fitting and divinely orchestrated
Yeah.
theme for National Women's Week celebration. And so, Jackie, we say thank you. Thank you for taking the time today to talk to us, to share with us, and to inspire us as we continue to build and continue to move forward. And for those of you who are tuned in, Abaco still needs your support. Reach out to
Yes.
Jackie. Find her. If you can't find her, find me. I know how to find her. Reach
Yes.
out to her and let us continue to build. It's never too little, because when we all come together, could you imagine 1,000 people giving $1 a piece?
Yes.
We
Yes.
sometimes look at the big
Yes.
things. It's in small things. Let's start small, and we can grow into the big, where everybody could participate. All of us may not be
Exactly.
able to write a check for $1 million. All of us may not even be able to write a check for $1,000. But I sure all of us could find $1. Because could you
Yes.
imagine if everyone in Congo to the Bahamas, almost 400,000 persons can just give $1 a piece and send to Abaco? What work that can be done? That's a couple of people rules, in their homes, but we are doing it together. Sometimes we look outside to say this should be
Yes.
done by this person. But let's
Mm-hmm.
now take on a paradigm shift of saying we are a community and we are responsible to each other. And I am accountable to Jackie as Jackie is accountable to me. And let's work. We're
Yeah.
going to do this together. Anyway, that's a whole different story. This show's supposed to be wrapping up at this time. But I am just, like I said, I'm inspired by what you are doing. And so I want to inspire somebody else to go out there. Don't think it's too small a thing to do. If you
Yeah.
feed one person, just one person, could you imagine that? Like I say, each
Mm-hmm.
one, teach one, each one, reach one.
Yeah.
If
Reach
everyone,
one.
just you might not be able to feed a whole family, you may not be able to feed a whole corner, you may not be able to feed a whole community. But if you feed one person and somebody else feed one person, we'll be doing this together.
Thank you for tuning in to RBNTV, your Bahamian inspired and globally focused YouTube channel where we are empowering lives and transforming communities. Stay connected to us through our Facebook page, Instagram page, or here on YouTube. Thank you once again for joining us, and see you again real soon. God bless.